Okay, so for part two, the question is, describe a way or change that helps you save a lot of time. You should say, what is it? How do you implement it? How difficult is it? And explain how you feel about the way or change.
Okay, so I'd like to talk about using a daily planner, which has really helped me save time and stay organized. Basically, it's just a simple notebook where I write down all my tasks for the day. I started using it about a year ago because I realized I was wasting a lot of time just because I wasn't planning things very well. So every night before bed, I take a few minutes to just plan out my schedule for the next day. I write down all the tasks that I need to do, and I try to prioritize, the most urgent ones. And actually, getting into this habit wasn't too difficult. Writing things down is pretty easy, but I think the real challenge was sticking to the schedule, especially when, unexpected things came up. But even if I don't follow the plan perfectly, having that structure there, the list of things that I need to do, it just helps me stay more focused. So overall, I feel pretty satisfied with this change. It's definitely boosted my productivity and it's also reduced a lot of unnecessary stress. Now I can complete my work more efficiently and I have more free time for other activities.
Okay, thank you. And now for part three, we have a few follow-up questions. So first, what can schools do to help students learn time management?
Well, I think schools can do a lot to teach students time management skills. They can encourage them to, create schedules, prioritize tasks, things like that. For example, teachers could assign projects with step-by-step deadlines. That would really help students kind of plan out their workload better. And also, schools could organize workshops, maybe bring in some experts who can give, some useful strategies for avoiding procrastination or improving focus. And then, of course, there are digital tools, things like calendar apps, which I think could be really helpful for students to learn how to manage their time more effectively.
Okay, great. Is it necessary for children to learn time management?
Definitely, yes. I think it's crucial. Um, Good time management skills, they really help children become more organized and responsible in their studies, but also in their personal lives as well. For example, if children learn to balance their study time with their leisure activities, they can actually perform better academically while still, having time to enjoy themselves. And developing these habits early also prepares them for future challenges, like when they get a job, or they need to meet deadlines.
Yeah, definitely. Do people who can manage time well become successful more easily?
Generally speaking, yes. People who manage their time well tend to be more productive and they're better at achieving their goals, which obviously increases their chances of success. If you think about it, someone who follows a well-planned schedule, they can complete tasks efficiently without a lot of stress. And time management really helps you stay focused, meet deadlines, and, make steady progress in your career and your personal life. So yeah, I think it's a big factor in success.
Okay, great. Do you think parents should be responsible for teaching children to save time?
Oh, absolutely. I think parents play a really important role in teaching children how to use their time wisely. They can set a good example, by having structured routines themselves and then encouraging their children to plan their daily activities. Maybe they can help their kids create a schedule, with time for studying, playing, and resting. And I think when children grow up in an environment where time management is valued, they're more likely to develop those habits naturally.
Okay. Does technology help people save time? And how and why?
Yeah, definitely. Technology has made time management so much easier because it's given us all these tools that help us stay organized and complete tasks faster. Like, for example, online shopping. Now you can buy things from home instead of going to the store, which obviously saves a lot of time. And then there are apps like Google Calendar. You can set reminders. You can manage your schedule really efficiently. And even navigation apps like Google Maps, they can help you find the fastest routes to your destination so you're not wasting time in traffic. So, yeah, technology has definitely been a game changer for time management.
Great. And lastly, what can people do to save time?
Well, there are a lot of things people can do. They can plan their day in advance, set clear priorities, avoid distractions like, spending too much time on social media. It's also a good idea to focus on one task at a time instead of trying to multitask because, You're actually more efficient that way and you make fewer mistakes. And then, of course, technology can help as well. There are automation tools, time tracking apps, all sorts of things that can help you work more efficiently and just make better use of your time in general.
Okay, great. So that was a really good run through of the Band 8 level responses. Now, things are going to get a little trickier, but also hopefully more interesting. I'm going to be the test taker this time, and you're going to be the examiner asking the exact same questions, but we're going to be aiming for that Band 9 level. So let's see what we can do.
All right, sounds good. I'm ready to see you in action here. So for part 2, describe a way or change that helps you save a lot of time. You should say, what is it? How do you implement it? How difficult is it? And explain how you feel about the way or change.
Okay. One significant change that has demonstrably optimized my time management is the integration of productivity applications, such as Google Calendar and Trello, into my daily workflow. These digital tools afford me the capacity to meticulously organize tasks, delineate deadlines, and monitor progress with considerable efficiency. I commenced utilizing them approximately 2 years ago, prompted by an escalating challenge in concurrently managing professional and personal responsibilities. Currently, I schedule all engagements on Google Calendar, encompassing meetings, project milestones, and personal errands, while Trello serves as a platform for dissecting more substantial projects into granular, actionable subtasks. The initial transition from conventional analog methods of organization presented a moderate learning curve, yet the inherent intuitiveness of these platforms facilitated a relatively swift adoption. The provision of features such as automated reminders has tangibly augmented my punctuality and overall effectiveness. I derive considerable satisfaction from this evolved system, as it fosters a profound sense of control over my commitments, mitigates undue stress, and ultimately enhances my temporal efficiency, thereby yielding a more productive and balanced lifestyle.
Wow, okay. Moving on to part 3 then. What can schools do to help students learn time management?
Educational institutions can institute comprehensive programs designed to cultivate effective time management proficiencies among students. This could involve explicit instruction on establishing priorities, segmenting complex assignments into manageable stages, and strategically planning academic schedules. The incorporation of project-based learning methodologies, wherein students are tasked with formulating their own study timelines and tracking their progression, would be particularly beneficial. Furthermore, schools could host workshops led by experienced professionals focusing on practical techniques, such as leveraging digital planning instruments and employing time-blocking strategies to amplify concentration and output. Fostering self-regulatory skills through the establishment of structured routines would indubitably equip students with robust time management capabilities from an early age.
Okay, and is it necessary for children to learn time management?
Indubitably. The acquisition of astute time management skills constitutes a cornerstone of both academic and personal development for children. The judicious allocation of time empowers them to achieve equilibrium between scholastic obligations, extracurricular pursuits, and leisure activities, thereby nurturing their holistic growth. For instance, a child adept at time management will likely complete their homework punctually while still reserving sufficient time for recreational activities and familial engagement. Cultivating these practices early in life furnishes them with invaluable preparedness for future exigencies, such as navigating professional responsibilities and maintaining a harmonious work-life integration.
Right. Do people who can manage time well become successful more easily?
Unquestionably, proficient time management serves as a critical determinant in the attainment of success across various domains. Individuals who exhibit mastery in time allocation tend to be more systematically organized, consistently adhere to deadlines, and sustain elevated levels of productivity. Consider, for example, professionals who prioritize tasks strategically and allocate time judiciously, enabling them to execute projects efficiently while minimizing superfluous stress. Moreover, effective time management enables individuals to maintain a focused trajectory toward their long-term aspirations, ultimately fostering career advancement and the realization of personal goals.
Mm-hmm. Do you think parents should be responsible for teaching children to save time?
Absolutely. Parents fulfill a pivotal role in instilling efficacious time management habits in their offspring by establishing consistent routines and serving as positive exemplars. For instance, parents can actively involve children in the planning of daily schedules, including the allocation of time for academic pursuits, domestic responsibilities, and leisure activities. By nurturing structured habits from the outset, parents cultivate discipline and a sense of responsibility in their children, attributes that will serve them well throughout their lives.
Okay, and does technology help people save time? How and why?
Technology represents an exceptionally potent catalyst for temporal efficiency, automating repetitive processes, enhancing overall productivity, and facilitating rapid access to information. For example, intelligent personal assistants such as Alexa and Google Assistant can manage schedules, set reminders, and even control smart home systems, thereby diminishing the time expended on manual tasks. Furthermore, online platforms encompassing banking services, e-commerce, and food delivery obviate the necessity for physical visits, enabling individuals to accomplish tasks swiftly and conveniently.
Okay. And lastly, what can people do to save time?
Individuals can significantly enhance their temporal efficiency by establishing clear priorities, mitigating distractions, and strategically leveraging technological resources to streamline routine tasks. The Pomodoro technique, which involves focused work intervals punctuated by brief respites, constitutes a particularly efficacious method for sustaining concentration and maximizing output. Furthermore, the judicious delegation of tasks can liberate valuable time for more pressing responsibilities. Ultimately, cultivating a heightened awareness of one's temporal expenditure and proactively identifying and rectifying inefficiencies can pave the way for a more organized and productive existence.
All right. Wow. Okay. That was quite a contrast, I have to say. Hearing those Band 8 and Band 9 responses side by side. I mean, obviously they were addressing the same questions about time management, but the way that they were conveyed really highlights some key distinctions in how we communicate.
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the first things that really jumps out at me is the vocabulary. In those band nine responses, there's this very clear tendency towards more precise, more sophisticated word choices. I mean, words like demonstrably optimized or afford or meticulously organized. Those words, they just paint a much more detailed and nuanced picture compared to, the simpler language that we saw in the Band-Aid examples.
Yeah. And I think it's not just about using, bigger or more complex words, but it's about choosing the right words, the words that really convey the meaning with greater accuracy. And I think this is something that's relevant not just for, an exam like the IELTS, but for any kind of communication, whether you're writing an email or you're giving a presentation or you're just having a conversation with someone.
Exactly. And I think it's interesting too, if we look at the sentence structures,
Yeah.
the band nine responses, they often have these uh, much more varied and intricate sentence constructions. The ideas are linked together more smoothly, and there's just a greater flow of information. Think about, for example, the Band 9 response to the Part 2 question. It weaves together that description of the apps, the reasons for using them, the initial difficulty, the eventual satisfaction, and it all just kind of flows together really nicely in this well-structured way.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. And I think that complexity, it's not just, for show. It actually allows for a more nuanced explanation. The Band 9 responses tend to really delve deeper into the why behind their statements. They don't just say, "Oh, this saves time." They explain how it saves time, why it saves time, and they often give, more specific examples like, for example, mentioning the automated reminders in the Band 9 response. That's a really concrete detail that illustrates how those apps improve efficiency.
Right, exactly. Moves beyond just a general statement to something much more specific. And in the part 3 responses, you can also hear how the Band 9 responses often offer a broader perspective. They connect time management to these wider concepts like holistic growth or work-life integration. It's not just about getting things done, but it's about how those tasks fit into, the bigger picture of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, for our listeners, the takeaway here is that it's not just about an exam, it's about recognizing that communication, truly effective communication, it involves choosing your words carefully, it involves structuring your thoughts logically, and it involves providing, enough depth and explanation to really get your message across in a clear and impactful way.
Right. And this deep dive into these two different levels of responses, it really highlights that the difference between, good communication and truly excellent communication. It often lies in these subtle but really significant details.
Exactly. It's about being intentional, with your language, with the way you structure your thoughts, with the examples you use, everything. So I think a good question for our listeners to consider is, think about a conversation you had recently, or maybe something you wrote. Could you have expressed your ideas more precisely? Were there opportunities to maybe elaborate a little bit more on the reasoning behind what you were saying, or to connect your points to a broader context? Maybe you used simpler language when you could have used a more nuanced vocabulary to really add more depth to what you were saying.
Yeah, that's a really great point. I think it's always worth asking ourselves, how can we communicate more effectively? Even if it's just making one small change in our emails or in our conversations, maybe we can try to use slightly more precise language, or we can just, take a moment to really think about our reasoning and explain it more fully. Because ultimately, it's those small changes that can make a big difference in how our message is received and understood.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Well, that was a really fascinating deep dive.
Hmm.
I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.